whole society is topsy turvy. Every piece of information you get on how to be a man is wrong. It's
Right.
all wrong. Every single part of it is wrong. If you're somebody's telling you to go to a therapist, they have absolutely no clue what it's like to be a man, and that's just the most ridiculous solution. If they're offering off antidepressants, this is the most ridiculous solution. If you had in your mind that taking a vacation was going to fulfill you in your life,
He goes on to kind of say he's seeing a therapist. I went to see a therapist recently. It brought me great shame, but I told myself I can't live like this anymore. It's a bunch of BS. Sit there and talk about a load of bullocks. I guess this guy might be European. That leads nowhere. She messaged me to say she can't help me. I did 8 sessions around 20 hours.
uh,
Has anyone else overcome anything like this? Is there a peace for someone like me? Will I ever be normal again? Is it over for me? During the day, I keep incredibly busy to a point where I can't think. At night, it hits. Getting to a point I can't sleep. Sleeping pills don't work, and I don't even want to come home anymore because of this. I just don't know anymore. So that's a pretty long post, but it's very emotionally fiery. And I think for me when I read it, I was thinking,
yeah.
there's not. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about this because there's not an immediate something is the causing all this. There are some things that I want to get into, but I don't see an immediate like, hey, it's 1 plus 1 is what? Oh, it's two. I don't see an immediate
Yeah.
that. So I'm kind of curious. What did you think about when you read this, and kind of what do you overall feel about this guy?
So yeah, that's perfectly related to the conversation we were just having, I think, because he starts off by naming all these things he's done. Oh, I have this great career and it gives me all these opportunities to travel, and I've done all these interesting things when I went and traveled, and still I come home and I just don't feel fulfilled. Of course you don't, because those are not real. Again, that's a fake reality. That's a fake reality. You're not a person who lives near the ocean and lives on the ocean and does all those ocean things, right? That's not. If you were, you just live by the ocean and do that all the time. If that was something that like actually brought you fulfillment, you'd be there doing that all the time, right? So it's just like saying I went to Disneyland and came home and I didn't feel fulfilled. Okay, that's exactly what you just said to me. Like you went and saw a Marvel movie and you came home and you didn't feel fulfilled. That's exactly the same thing. You created these and frankly, in terms of traveling, I don't understand. I don't understand the appeal of that. I never really have. I mean, it can be fun to go to a new place, stay in a hotel, and it's like a look kind of little neat little experience. But these people who are like, "Oh, I just love to travel," I'm like, I don't. It's weird. That's fake. That's fake. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, who loves that? That's stressful. Costs a lot of money, and you don't get anything. It's not really a benefit to you. Like, you just take some pictures and then you go home. Like, how? It's not fulfilling. Of course, it's not fulfilling. That's not something that is supposed to fulfill you. It's supposed to be a little break from your regular life, and then you come home, and that is supposed to fulfill you, your regular life, right?
Right.
So that's my first thing that I'm biting onto is the fact that he thinks, and I can tell he thinks this. He thinks that that's supposed to make him happy. That his little vacation that he took and his surfing that he did, that was supposed to make him happy in his mind, right? Which is so you right away I can see that he's got this weird warped perspective where his real life sucks, and then he's supposed to fill up his fake life with things that are going to make him happy. So that's the universe screaming at. That's God screaming at him. He's got this hole somewhere in his heart that is not fulfilled. And if he keeps looking out for these external fake solutions, he's never going to feel fulfilled. So my advice to this guy would be get serious. Hit yourself with that brutal honesty. Do you hate your job? Maybe he hates his job. Maybe he makes a lot of money, but he hates it, like
Right.
or it's stressful in some way. Maybe I don't. He didn't mention any kind of relationship, so he's probably single. Are you really depressed because you're single? Like, are you feeling lonely? You don't have enough friends. Like, you don't feel like you have meaningful connections in your life. You have a loving mother and father. Well, that's great, but unfortunately, we take that for granted at a certain point in our life, and that doesn't really fulfill us either. So, what is it that are you giving enough back to your mom and dad? Because that would help. Like let's say you get a lot you get a lot from your mom and dad, but you take it for granted because you're their child and you're supposed to. Well, one thing that can help that relationship is to think, well, what can I give to her or him? What can I give back to them? And that would give you a sense of purpose in that relationship.
Right.
So that's just one little example, but basically, I would say that this guy he's built up a fake life external from his real life, and he's expecting the fake life to bring him the happiness. So I have to work this in because it's just part of my beliefs. But I think that the hole in his heart is God, right? He needs some sort of spiritual grounding. He needs some sort of faith grounding. That is what points him in the right direction. Because as I was saying just now, or in our previous conversation, you don't always feel peace. You don't always feel the happiness. It's just not always going to be there. So you need something outside of yourself to know that you're on the right path. God will give you that, yeah, and it will grant you the internal peace, and it will give you the access to it. It's not that it's always there, that it's always something you can turn to. So again, this is something I would say take very seriously. Like a lot of people listening to this may hear this conversation and hate the idea. I don't believe in God. It's stupid. Well, why? Why do you think it's stupid? Look into it. Think about it. Think about what's going on in your life. Think about how impossible it feels to achieve the peace that you're seeking. Why is it impossible? It shouldn't be. That doesn't make sense logically. Why is it that you want something that's impossible to get? How is that logically possible? Doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
So if you feel like there's something missing in your life, then there is. And the only thing I can tell you, without knowing anything about your personal life, is that you need to take the investigation seriously. Start with the brutal honesty and figure it out on your own. I can't help you do that because I don't know you as well as you know you, and I never will.
Right.
So you have to do this on your own. But understand that filling your life up with these external stupid crap like traveling, I mean, come on, get serious for one. Like, it almost makes me upset to even hear a man, a 25-year-old man, tell me that he went on a vacation and came home and was sad. Like, what do you? Come on, like you got to grow up. You got to
Yeah.
get serious right now.
I mean, there
It's
were
not
men in the
that. It's not.
40s that went on a vacation, and as soon as they got home, they were actually excited to get home because then they were no longer being shot at by Germans.
Yeah,
But you know,
exactly.
it's all relative,
Yeah,
right? It's all first world problems.
yeah,
No, but
yeah,
I like what you said, and I said initially there's no immediate red flags about this, and except for one thing, and you obviously pointed it out already, and you got to it first, but yeah, what are you doing like with this travel paragraph? I mean, to me, it's an obvious. Oh, I'm having an issue. My reality is not good. Let me escape it by traveling. Oh, it didn't solve it. Big shocker. But again, it's
yeah,
it's like you
yeah.
said. Traveling is a way. If it's your hobby, that means your normal life is not up to snuff. If you're
Right.
saying I travel as a hobby because it's relaxing, something's wrong with your life, and it really does relate to what we were talking about earlier. Because taking the edge off. Well, what's the edge? Listen to that. What's wrong with your normal life? To a point where you feel like you have to go, kayaking and hiking and cycling. Like those are all cool things in isolation, but it looks like you did a big bulk batch of this stuff. And what I'm saying is, I think if you just double click on like Dean said, what are you doing? We need more details, right? But I think at a glance though, when I did read this, and my initial reaction was, okay, you're traveling. I get that, like why are you doing like a whole month or what's going on, and why are you expecting that to make you feel better? There's nothing in here about your fitness. There's nothing in here about your relationship status. There's nothing in here about your financial. I guess your financial status is the only thing in here that's part of the big three. But you can't be happy with just financial status. Like that's part of the big three for a reason. There's three things. You know,
Yeah.
you can't just pick one of them and be fine. Obviously, that's a good start, and that's why I think you're able to be helped. But it sounds like you must have talked to some women about this because you were convinced to go to a therapist. So I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what allowed you to think that. I'm glad you stopped, but it says here I did 8 sessions for around 20 hours, and she messaged me to say she can't help me. So now we've got two things. We've got you're going to a therapist, and it's a woman therapist. So I mean, and again, if you want to see a therapist, I think you should probably see a male therapist because it's going to be easier for him to empathize with you and relate to the problems that you're having. Just as if you're a woman, you want to see a therapist, I'd probably recommend go see a woman therapist because then they probably have an easier time to identify, hey, you're saying this, I went through a little bit of that, or I know people, it's easier to get that down the road, but
Yeah.
cut the therapist out of it. And I think try. I mean, it doesn't say anything about your fitness, but I can assume that there's nothing there because I don't know a guy who's locking into the gym 3-4 days a week having this issue, because
Yeah.
it might sound like a simple fix, but try to hit the gym 4 days a week and just kind of see what happens. You're already at rock
Yeah.
bottom. I mean, and the good news is you have a career, you have a job, so you're able to sustain. At least you're able to sustain stuff. There's a lot of people that have way more problems than you, and they have no career, no finance, or anything. So they're just having your depression, but it's amplified by whatever other issues that come with being
Yeah.
poverty and stuff. So lock into the gym. I think a couple days a week, and honestly, after about a month or even maybe earlier, you might just stop feeling this stuff like straight up. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't think of a
I
way a
agree.
therapist could help you with this.
No. That's
And
another fake solution, right?
yeah,
It's another fake. It's just nonsense because it gets back to what we're saying, where there's problems in your life that you can't ignore. Actually, so there was one thing too that he mentioned, right? He said he makes more money than he deserves, is what he said, right?
right.
That's pretty interesting that you would even have that thought, right? So let's say that that's actually true. Let's say you have a job and you really don't work very hard, but you get a big paycheck at the end of the day, and objectively you could say you don't deserve to get paid all that money because you're just not working that hard. Well, guess what? That's fully within your control. Like if you feel like you don't earn your keep, you could actually just work harder. Right? You could actually just seek more responsibilities from your employer. You could actually just go to your boss and say, "Hey, I got some free time. Is there anything else I can help with? Like, is there any projects you need help with? Anything I can get my hands in?" And you could earn that money. You could do that. And guess what it would do? Not only would it benefit you because your boss would say, "Hey, this guy takes initiative. I like that. This guy gets his stuff done early, and he actually looks for extra work." That's going to benefit you in your career. They're going to push you even higher. You're going to start making even more money. But the other thing it's going to do is benefit your self-esteem because this guy's self-esteem is in the toilet, and his self-esteem is in the toilet because he's not taking his real problems seriously. He's going to therapists. He's going to vacation. What is a therapist going to do for you? I mean,
In
seriously,
good
like
faith, what are they
I
gonna? How are they
understand.
gonna help you? That's the question. How can they help you?
Honestly, no, they can't. And like, and I understand that. Like this guy, like you said, he probably spoke to his mom or he spoke to his sister or some girlfriend, and she's like, "Yeah, you have a problem in your life, go to therapy. Oh, you're
Yeah.
sad, go to therapy. Oh, your life isn't 100% perfect all the time, go to therapy." That's the answer that everybody gives, right?
No,
And
the
of course,
therapy
it's
industrial
absolute
complex has
nonsense.
done a great job of advertising to people.
Yeah,
To
it's
that's the solution to everything. Instead of introspection
right.
and hitting the gym and figuring out what the actual issue is, and instead of taking off the
Yeah.
edge, fixing the edge from being an edge.
Right. You need to address your problems first and foremost. Personally. Personally is the only way you're ever going to overcome anything.
Right.
You may need help. You may need help once you've identified your solution. You may need help, but nobody can figure it out for you what your solution is. So yeah, my advice to this guy is take your real life more seriously. Stop with these stupid vacations. Stop with the therapy. Stop with the whatever stupid hobbies you. If you, I can tell this guy goes on vacation as a hobby. He's probably got a collection of like Funko Pops, and he probably reads a lot of comic books, and he probably goes to stupid movies by himself. Stop doing all that crap. Like get yourself a real mature mindset. Drop the boyish things that you're doing. Like
Right.
I'm getting a little frustrated because I think like and I feel it's out of pity. It's out of pity because I feel sorry for this guy because I know I can just tell by the way he's talking that he's getting all of this from the Reddits of the world. That's why we read these questions from Reddit.
What is up, guys? Thank you for checking out this clip from the Maneuver Life Radio podcast. If this content is up your alley, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and definitely drop a comment letting us know whether or not you agree or disagree with what was discussed in the clip. We do have full unedited discussions that we upload on Mondays. The link for this one will be in the description. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good rest of your day.